That's a marvelous question. By his knowledge, my righteous servant, the Messiah, will make many right. They've been wrong, and they'll be made right. His knowledge is every word that came out of his mouth. That's what my knowledge is, too. The teaching of Jesus, I'm so glad you asked that, because I happen to have with me a quotation from a book called Heresies by a traditional, very high-flown professor from Trinity Evangelical Divinity School. And he says this, which really caught my eye. He says that the teaching of Jesus is not the essential Christianity that we go by. That's amazingly, I would say, catastrophically wrong. Let me give you the exact quote here. He says, and I'm quoting, "The Christian faith is not belief in Jesus' teaching, but in what is taught about him. The appeal of Protestant liberals to, quote, believing as Jesus believed, rather than to believing in Jesus, is a dramatic transformation of the fundamental nature of Christianity." I must say, with great respect to the professor, that has got to be wrong. By his knowledge, Jesus makes us right. Now listen to these other verses. John 3:36. If you believe in Jesus, you're doing well. If you disobey him, you're doing very badly. John 3:36. 1 Timothy 6, verse 3. If anybody comes to any of us without the sound knowledge, the health-giving words, namely the words, which of course reflect the knowledge of Jesus, and then Paul says the guy is worse than hopeless. Watch out for that. 2 John 7-9, if anybody comes to you who doesn't bring the teaching of Messiah, that's the teaching he gave, as well, of course, as the teaching about him. There's no difference. We're creating all sorts of dichotomies here and pitting one idea against another. No need for that. The teaching of Jesus is everything that he said. The rest of the New Testament and the Old, which predicts what he was going to do, is teaching about him, teaching that came from his lips. It's all one package. If not, the Bible is a hopelessly complicated and difficult book for us all. And apparently we haven't done too well with it with our many, many hundreds of denominations. Let's start with something easy. I suspect it's because we've not recognized how wrong the faith went from the 2nd century. Jesus was a Unitarian, monotheistic Jew. That's where you start. He's questioned by a Jew about the most fundamental thing of all. If we don't get that one right, we're likely then to be smitten with a certain level of misunderstanding. So start with the Shema, loving God, the God of Israel, the God of Jesus, the one God of Jesus' Jewish heritage, and go from there. Then we work out of the Sermon on the Mount, his very high-level ethical teaching, his high-level ethical teaching, and of course everything is summed up in the gospel about the kingdom, which is God's great plan for the planet. He's going to have peace on earth with Jesus back here on the earth, and he's now training his people, his personnel for that kingdom, through trial and tribulation, so that they can be co-executives with him in that future kingdom. Revelation 2, 26 and 27, and many texts.